Good evening, YouTube. It is Thursday, the 13th of July. I've got so much to tell you about today. I'm going to try and be a bit more coherent today. I've written a list of things I've got to cover. But yeah, let's start off. First of all, before I say anything about today, I'm doing a bit of an experiment with the sound. After some feedback from Van Roman, very kindly gave me some feedback on some road noise. Thank you for that. I've tried a variety of things and I think the problems are about the road surface that I'm on and the speed that I'm going at when I'm recording certain videos. I have changed the actual location of my camera, as you may have noticed, and I've changed the actual camera holder that I'm using. I'm also using a microphone, yes, that's the right word. I'm also talking a little bit louder than I would usually do. I'm hoping with all those things combined, also if I don't go too quickly, I'm hoping that the road noise will be a minimum and that I can be clear enough for you to hear over whatever it is you've got in your background. So that's, and obviously let me know how it is, and I'll keep sort of trying to make it better if I can, but I'm hoping this will be good enough. So today, how's my day gone today? So today I woke up just outside of Inverness in my van. I finished driving last night at about 2 o'clock in the morning. Got my head down as quickly as I could, and my alarm was set for 7. Surprisingly, I did actually get quite good sleep, even though it was only 5 hours nominally. So I felt quite refreshed when I woke up. And I was out of bed by about, the alarm was set for 7:15, and then I was out of bed by about 7:20 and ready to go. I got myself to the first drop-off point, or to the drop-off point. It was quite hard to find, so I did have to download Delm 8, and I used that to find the actual location. I think this is the first time that Google Maps has not really helped me. I think I would have got there eventually, but I felt that now was the right time to try a different app. And so I got there on time. I actually got the parcel delivered at 8:04. But I had to get myself walk through a locked gate up a track. And luckily, when I got to the top of this hill, there was a van, and they were there. So I forgot to ask them. It was a wind farm. I wish I'd asked them whether they actually stayed there all the time, because it looked like they might have been staying there like a 24-hour thing. I wish I'd found out. So next time I ever go there, I'm going to try and ask. Because if I had known that, I would have gone last night. Wow. Actually, no, think about it. 2 o'clock in the morning is probably not the right time to go. If it had been like 10 o'clock, I would have gone last night if they're there all the time. So actually think about it, it would have changed what I did today if they had been living there. Oh, right, the road's got really noisy now. Noticed? I'm paranoid about that now. Anyway, so what happened then? So I then was empty, and I was in the middle of nowhere, almost literally. And so I just made myself back towards south. And this time it was light, and I could see the countryside, and it was amazing. Really enjoyed the drive back in the morning. Lovely day. I actually experienced rain, wind and sun all in sort of the first 4 hours of the day in Scotland. So it was a really, really nice trip back. CX wise, obviously I was looking for jobs. It was quite quiet, I think, although it may have been because it was Scotland, but the sort of Highlands of Scotland. There were a couple of jobs that came up, sort of Glasgow way, but I was too far away to bid on them really. I was still about an hour and a half away from them. I put in my app my journey going from Inverness to Rotherham, which was my original plan, and I will do a video showing how to do that for those people who don't know how to do it, who are really new to the system. And that was helpful. It got me quite a few jobs over the course of the day came up that I wouldn't have otherwise seen. But anyway, so let me tell you what I bid on, because I think that might be of some interest, and when I bid on them. And I felt today that I really enjoyed what I would call the excitement of having these potential jobs that I bid on. I was looking for things that I would, quite long distance jobs that were quite worth a bit of money. And at the start of the day, I had a vague plan. If I could get £230 worth of money, that means I would have doubled my money coming up to Inverness over the whole days. So I got £400 to come up from Peterborough to Inverness, and I got £165 as colos yesterday. So I thought if I get another £235 today, that's doubling my money. So that seemed like quite a good target to go for. I didn't achieve it, but it was something that I had in my mind. So the first one I bid on was Clydebank to Castle Donington. It was at 12:15 that came on the system. I bid £200 and it was for a small van, and the distance according to CX, so I wait for it to load up. It's not loaded up, it's 303 miles. Next one came up, I bid on was Stockton-on-Tees to Neath. I wasn't going to Neath, but it was actually not that far from Neath to Cirencester. It was delivering to Neath in the morning, so I thought my plan would be, if I do pick up this one, I'd get to south of Wales for the first thing tomorrow morning, drop it off, and then I could do my pre-booked in route, but in reverse, Cirencester to Warrington to Blackburn to Rotherham back to High Wycombe. So there was a reason for that. That was £240 I bid, and the distance for that was 302 miles. In the end, that was cancelled. That was on there for ages, and that was cancelled. That was on there for most of the day. The next one I bid on was I was on the way down, coming past. I think it's Ayr, A-Y-R, going from Ayr to Diss in Norfolk. And that, although Diss is not really the right direction for me, if I'd gone to there, I would have then just gone home afterwards and done my pre-arranged route tomorrow as a whole day. And the reason I bid on that was I put £407, 407, for a small van job for 407 miles. And I put £1 a mile on because I thought that there wouldn't be many people in Ayr that could go to Diss today. That job was cancelled as well. But you can see how excited I was getting. If I could get these jobs, it would be a really good day. Next one was advertised as being Lancaster, LA3 to Southampton. And when I looked at it, it was actually Morecambe, LA3. I still put a bid on. I put a £230 bid for a small van job going 278 miles. I didn't get that, that was sold. Next one I bid on at 1 o'clock was from Skelmersdale to Newton Abbot. Same rationale, it's going to be delivered tomorrow morning. I was going to therefore drop off tomorrow and then go across to Cirencester and do that route in reverse. I put £380 on that one, and that's for a long wheelbase going for 292 miles. And I put quite a lot on that because it involved storing the stuff overnight, and I couldn't do anything else. And that was sold. Then there was a Carlisle to Crewe one that I bid on, £120 for a small van job, and the mileage on that 147 miles. That job was cancelled. Actually, looking at it now, a lot of these were cancelled. I didn't realise it at the time. There were 3 at the start of the day that I've just noticed that were cancelled as well. Leeds to Bristol, £210 I put on for a long wheelbase job. This was at 10 o'clock in the morning, and going for 208 miles. That was cancelled. The second one in the morning that I've got here cancelled was Sunderland to Hayes. I bid £200, and that was a car job going to 280 miles. That was cancelled. The next one that was cancelled in the morning was a Glasgow one to TW4, Glasgow to London. I put £300 on. It was a pick up at 2 o'clock in the afternoon for 399 miles, and I really thought I'd get that one. I was in the right area. I would have gone that way. That I thought was around about £300, about 75p a mile, I reckon. That was cancelled as well. So coming back to this afternoon then, I said the Carlisle to Crewe one that was cancelled, didn't I? Then we've got Hebden Bridge, which is a HX postcode, going to Greenford, a UB postcode to London. Pick up today, drop off tomorrow. I bid 155 for a small van job, and it was 206 miles. I thought that was quite a good bid. I thought I'd get that. That was sold to someone else. There's another one from OL 10 Haywood. I'm assuming it's Oldham Way, going to Worcester. I was quite close to it, and it was £100 I bid for a small van job going 121 miles. Didn't get that. Chorley was the next one, to Stoke-on-Trent. This was I assumed that it was because it's ST10 postcode. I assumed this was going to be one that you'd have to wait for a long time, so I didn't really want it. But basically, I thought I want to get some extra money, so I bid £150 for a large wheelbase job, and it's only 74 miles. Basically, about £2 a mile up there. Obviously, didn't get that. I'm mindful that it's not very popular to go to that place, so I put more money on. And actually, to be fair, I wasn't really that bothered about getting it. And then I had my last one that I didn't get was Manchester to Colville. This was done after my drop off, and I'll tell you, this was at 6 o'clock. But I'll tell you about that in a moment, because I did actually get one, and I was so happy. And it was, I'm on the wrong lane, sorry, let me just get across these lines. Don't look at that on the video if you're watching this. Right, this roundabout. Yeah, so the one that I got, it was with a national shipper, which has branches around the country, and I always find it quite tough to win their jobs. And it was going from a place called Nelson, Blackburn way, and I was near. I thought I was near there. I was heading to Blackburn anyway at this point, and it was going to PE20, which is Boston, which is basically home more or less, within home. Well, it's for delivery tomorrow morning, so I would have taken that, gone straight home at an early day, and that was I put a bid on that of what was it, £190 for 156 miles for a long wheelbase job. And I thought, well, I'll get it because it's a good amount of money and it's going home, and that means I can just do my booked in route for tomorrow as a whole day. And lo and behold, I got a call, and he asked me a few questions about my van and about straps and stuff, and about what the van looked like, and I answered those, and he gave me the job, and I was so pleased. I thought the day's gone really well. Put the postcode in my sat nav, and then I realised I hadn't done something that I should have done. That was my mistake, and I'd assumed that he'd done it, and he had not done it either. And I put in my sat nav, and I was an hour and a half away from the pickup, and I had an hour to get there according to the system. And so I was due to get there for sort of 5 to 5, and it was due to be done by 20 past 4. And I thought, I could try and do it and get there, but what if it goes wrong and I'm misleading? I've done the wrong thing. So I couldn't do it. Despite being really happy about getting the job, I called the shipper back straight away and explained the situation. And I was hoping he'd say, it's fine, they're open till 5, just get there as quickly as you can. But he said they close at 4:30, and so I apologised and said, sorry, I can't do the job then. And he put it back on the system. Luckily, well, no, I don't feel too bad about it, because when it was back on the system, he put it back on with from 3:30 to 4:30 on the system. So the person that was bidding on it had the same amount of time to bid on it that I had, the hour. It wasn't like I used up half an hour of his time and he couldn't then get another person to cover it. So if he didn't get another person to cover it, it wasn't my fault. I don't think. I managed to tell him enough time. He had an hour's window to get it covered. I'm disappointed because I lost out the money, but also I didn't check. It really was my fault for not checking. So it's a lesson I suppose I should learn, that always check where I am. But it's just that I'd driven for so long coming south. I thought I must be close to Blackburn by now. That's why I did it. So that's why I didn't check. I just felt that I was getting close. Okay, so what I then did, I got pretty close. When I got to sort of then this one fell through, which would have been about 3:30ish, 3:20. I thought I'm not going to get a job now going any significant distance. I probably want to change my plans. So I looked at my route for tomorrow, and my original plan was going to be to go Rotherham, Blackburn, Warrington, Cirencester, High Wycombe. But I would never get that done today. And then I realised, coming back from where I was actually closer to Blackburn than anything else. So I looked at the route. I did Blackburn, Warrington, Rotherham, and then Cirencester. That actually made a bit of sense in terms of the mileage. And then I thought, well, if I do that, go to Rotherham, and then I'll just pop home and sleep in my bed tonight, and then do Cirencester tomorrow. We've got plenty of time. So that's what I'm doing. I went to Blackburn. There was nothing to pick up. I went to Warrington, which was further than I thought it was going to be. It's about an hour away. I just pick up there. When I was in Warrington, I was looking at other little jobs in the system, and that's the Manchester one that I bid on. I bid the Manchester to Colville because it's a small van job, and I thought I could probably explain that I'm going to go that way anyway. It was delivery in Colville tomorrow morning, so I didn't feel that me putting on my van as I went back home would have been an issue. I put on £80 for a small van job, 96 miles, and it was cancelled. So a lot of jobs were cancelled today, and I've just realised that as I was looking through it now. So that shows the value of me looking at this. Now I'm going to make a prediction now. I'm going to guess that a lot of those jobs will be on the system tomorrow, being a Friday. So I'm going to keep an eye. Oh no, I won't be in the area, will I? I won't be in the area tomorrow, so I won't know. But if you happen to be in these areas and you happen to remember, if you spot any of those tomorrow, then I don't know. Who cares? I'm predicting something I never know about. There you go. So, go back to my story. I picked up from Warrington, made my way across to Rotherham. It's a road that I go across quite a lot now. It goes across the Pennines, and my phone signal cuts out at one point, and my YouTube account falls out. I can't watch anything, can't listen to anything. And I get to the other side, it starts again. So I'm getting used to peace and quiet as I go across the hills. So I made my way to Rotherham. Picked up my load from there, and now I'm on the way back home to sleep in my bed tonight. And so today I had quite an exciting day in terms of bidding, but didn't actually win in the end any work today. But I quite enjoyed today. It was a nice day. I tipped off in the morning my £400 for yesterday, so I have made some money, and I see it as being part of the job, is persevering. You keep trying to win jobs, and then one day you get them all lined up and it all works. And I think I've said in an earlier video, that isn't luck, that's because that's the 10th time you've tried that, and one time it works. And I just like the thrill of the chase of trying to bid. I think it's because I've earned my money this week. That's why I can afford to sort of not have to necessarily win the jobs. I don't like not winning jobs, but I'm just saying I like the finding the long jobs and putting on bids, trying to work out what to bid. Okay, so I'm going to get home. I'll tell you my stats for today, and then I've got a few other little bits and pieces to tell you about. So by the end of today, when I get home, I will have worked for 14 3/4 hours. I would have driven 520 miles, 520 miles. I filled up again today with fuel, so I've got another average for this week. My average fuel rate for this week is 14.16 pence per mile. So at that mileage rate, I've spent £73.65 on fuel today. I've only earned the one non-CX job today, £400. That's from Peterborough to Inverness, that I did most of the driving for yesterday. and that means my net earnings after fuel today is £326.326. My hourly rate today is £24.63. Okay, let me move on to the things I want to talk about. So, little things first. At the end of yesterday's video, I was telling you about my difficulty with my feeling hungry and what I was going to do about it. And I'm really pleased that I told you that I would go for a walk and do my press-ups, because that effectively made it a promise. I promised you that I would do that, which meant I had to do it to fulfill my promise. So I did walk 2,000 steps after I'd finished video. I did come back to the van and do 20 press-ups. And I did avoid eating any crappy food last night. So that was a weak moment. And you did help me by being out there and watching this video, stick to what I want to do. So thank you for being there. I also want to say that I'm finding it really beneficial, the little things that you're commenting on that help me understand this job better, and little tips. So it's things I wouldn't even think about. I won't go through them because I think it won't necessarily be of interest to you guys, but I just want to say that every comment I get, I take something from it, and I always try to respond to them. And I think it's really, I get a lot from the feedback the comments that you make, because I'm learning all the time from what you say, the experience that you give, be it little things or bigger things. Right, I want to now talk with a bit more depth about money, and this is specifically from my experience of the first March, April, May, June, July, 5 months of doing this job. And I focused quite a lot in the first few videos on people who are brand new, and a lot of my audience are very experienced. So this will only really apply to those people who are brand new, but when they get to the 6-month mark or before, because that's where I am now. And I think it's worth me sharing this because I found it interesting. And I'm going to try and get open another part of my spreadsheet because I've got some figures to give you from it. So at the weekend, I redid my target calculation. I put into a spreadsheet all of the costs for running my van for a week or a month or a year. So the spreadsheet has a column for the week, a column for the month, a column for the year, so I can look at any cost, at each of the costs for those periods. And I wanted to double check whether I'd accounted correctly for the costs, and also for my personal costs. Because I did do this right at the start, and I came up with a target of £250, £250 after fuel. And I felt that target was what I needed to earn in this job each week to make a living wage for me. But the problem is, I've really been struggling financially. At the moment, I put some savings aside from my earnings each week, but before the end of the month, I have to transfer all that money back into my current account just so I don't get overdrawn. So I'm kind of just running to stay still in terms of my bank account. And I felt, well, why is it? What am I doing wrong here? What's gone wrong? That means I'm not making this business work. And I came up with 3 reasons, and I want to share them with you. The first reason is, if you remember, in my first 10 weeks, I never made my target. I made my target perhaps twice in the first 10 weeks. So actually, although I felt like I was progressing, I need to remember, for 8 of those weeks, I didn't make the target I was trying to make. So it takes time when you start to do this job to build up your experience and your knowledge and your contacts to make the kind of money that you do make when you're a bit more experienced. So I had to remind myself, there's a lag in my earnings. The second thing that I was aware of was that I calculate all my calculations about fuel, my fuel costs, they're all calculated before VAT, because the rationale is I get my VAT paid back. So if you don't, well, I haven't explained this. I'm on what you would call the full VAT scheme. So I can claim the VAT back on all my purchases that are for work, and I charge 20% VAT on all my invoices. Each quarter, I pay the difference between what I've paid in VAT and what I've collected in VAT. So everything I pay on VAT with the fuel, I don't actually pay it at the end. But then I realised, oh, actually, I do pay it. It's a cash flow thing. When I buy the fuel, I am paying VAT. So today, this week, I've bought fuel 3 times, but my VAT refund won't happen until the end of the quarter. So it's a cash flow issue that is I'm not accounting for. So then my spreadsheet looks like I'm making the money. I have to wait till the end of the quarter to actually get the money in my account. So that's another reason why I'm struggling to kind of cover my bills. And for the life of me, I can't remember the third reason. It might have been that I haven't worked every single day, but that wasn't it, because I've accounted for that in my spreadsheet. There was another reason. If I think about it in this video, I'll tell you. But there was a third reason why I realised that although my targets were being hit every week at the moment, I wasn't. It was a cash flow problem, not necessarily an income problem. So that brings me to cash flow, really, and just about cash flow. But before I started this job, and I was watching the YouTube videos about how to do it, everyone did say about the upfront costs and the cost of fuel being a difficult thing to deal with. And I kind of thought, yeah, I get that, but I must say, nothing really prepares you for the cash flow difficulties when you first start. I was telling someone a couple of months ago who was thinking of doing this job, and the thing that came to my mind was, no matter what you think about the cash flow, it's harder than you think it's going to be. And that's my advice to anyone who's in that position now. If you've just started and you're finding the cash flow difficult, that is always the case, I think. Unless you've got lots and lots of cash behind you to cover effectively 4 or 5 months of money, at some point cash flow is going to become a problem. You're always told have 2 months worth of money, which I can see why that's the rationale. That's assuming that you get, and the reason for that is because often you might be waiting 2 months for your first invoices to be paid. If you do work at the start of the month, and it's 30 days into the month, then your first invoice that you do on the first of the month paid at the end of the following month. So the rationale is have enough money to survive for 2 months before you even start, as well as all your upfront costs. And I'm not disagreeing with that, but I think actually you then think after 2 months I'm going to be fine. And actually no, I think you need to probably give it 6 months of some sort of cash flow difficulties. Just be prepared to bed in over that sort of period. In my experience, after 2 months, I was still struggling with the money for a variety of reasons. But I was getting better and better all the time, and I was doing the job. So I was optimistic, but I knew that there was cash flow issues. And so I've looked at, and so the way I do my finances, I have a program that I put all my personal and business money into. Software program, so I can see the month ahead how my cash flow is looking. And at the moment, my accounts are always going in the red before the end of the month, before I get paid. I looked at August, and for the first month in August, at the end of August, I can get through August, it won't go red. That's my 6th month. So I don't know for sure whether that will happen, because I need to pay my insurance for the month in August, and my insurance could be quite high. But I'm really hopeful that if I keep working in July, that I'll have enough money paid out throughout the end of July and August, so that I won't ever need to be in red during August. And it might just be that August is the month where I finally have cracked the cash flow issues. I'm hoping so, and I'm very confident that I will do. Just as a slight aside, how I've dealt with my cash flow is I've got a business credit card, and I've had to use the business credit card to pay for van repairs and servicing in the interim to help my cash flow, and to buy things like some equipment. But my credit card is at its full limit. It's got a £4,000 limit, and at the moment I can't really borrow any more. So in August, my first priority would be to pay down my credit card, so at least I've got some sort of emergency access money if my van goes wrong. But right now, if my van goes wrong, I'm really going to struggle, which is why I have in the past, and I'm struggling financially sometimes. That might be sharing too much, possibly. Maybe I suppose I'm sharing it because I want you to know, although I'm quite optimistic about this job and I love this job, it is tough to make it work financially, but I'm confident it will get there. But I think I'm saying I think it takes 6 months to get there, if you're going to do this properly as a proper business and build on it for the future. And I think some people might give up before then because of cash flow. So I'm saying I'm finding it tough. I'm sticking in there. If you can find a way to stick in there and you'll find it tough, please do. I think it's worth it. One last thing about my spreadsheet. So this is definitely copied from Van on the Run, and I have put his videos into my playlist of 20 videos that you should watch if you're new. And he did 3 great videos about fixed costs and things, and I took a lead from that, and I tried to work out what are my business costs specifically, and I've put all them into my spreadsheet. I'm not going to call them fixed costs, I'm going to call them business costs. So these are all the costs I need to cover for my business. That would include my accountant, my van depreciation, my van repairs, my servicing, the CX, the insurance, equipment, everything that involves in running the business. The tax, not tax, put that out. All the things I've just mentioned, and I've added them up, and it comes to an estimate of £12,000 a year. And then what I did was I worked out, if I don't work 6 weeks in the year, and I work 5 days a week, that's 230 days I'm probably going to work in the first year. So I divided that into my total business costs, and it comes out as being £52 a day of my earnings is needed for my business costs. And then I did it again for mileage. My mileage per year is estimated to be 75,000 miles. So I did it on a mileage basis, £12,000 in that mileage, and it comes out as being 16 pence per mile of costs. And then I worked out what is my average number of miles to do a day, and I worked out as being 371 miles. So then I worked out what is my daily amount that I spend for business based on that calculation. So 16 pence per mile at 371 miles travelled a day, that comes out at £59.67. So in my head, my business costs are between £52 and £60 a day. So really, £60 is a good figure to have in mind. So when I'm doing my target of £250 a day after fuel, I'm now thinking £190 of that is for me, and £60 of that is for my business. And that feels like a good proportion to me. And also, I'm glad I know those figures. I feel like I'm a bit more in control of my business now. So that puts me a bit more at ease. Right. Thank you very much for bearing with me and listening to my video. What have you learnt today?